Nobody wakes up one day and says, oh, today I have really radical, say, gender-based views about misogyny.
Luc Cousineau is a researcher and instructor at Dalhousie University. He published a report in the journal Gender and Education about how hypermasculine beliefs are showing up in the classroom. Luc, great to have you on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So what are you exactly seeing, when it comes to teachers and students with these videos becoming so mainstream?
We're seeing students, younger students especially, parroting things that they see on these videos in class. So repeating phrases, repeating terms, saying things to teachers and other students. And we're also seeing, especially with older students, them sort of taking that information, synthesizing it, and maybe saying more complex and more disturbing things to teachers. And in some places, even moving towards sexualized touch of teachers.
Can you give me some examples, Luke, some tangible examples of what you're talking about?
Certainly young male students saying to teachers, well, I don't need to listen to you because you're a woman and I'm a man and I don't need to listen to you. These are boys of 12 and 13. We also have evidence in that study and with other work we've done of boys in the 15, 16, 17-year-old age group of inappropriately touching their teachers, often in a sexualized nature, or saying to their teachers, hey, maybe when I'm graduated, we could get together. And so it's really, we're seeing it really as fueled by their online content consumption.
Like a 10-year-old is not just typing in misogyny into, YouTube or Roblox or Discord here. So how exactly is this content reaching them?
Well, there's a few different ways that it's reaching them. And I think it's really important that you brought up spaces like Roblox, for example, because there's great research coming out of places like the University of Waterloo, for example, where they're demonstrating that on Roblox, there are communities that are really sort of meant to bring kids along towards more radicalized views. And so sometimes that's far right or other content, but a lot of times it's these spaces of misogyny that we really cover in our work.
You mentioned radicalization. How does a regular kid get radicalized?
It's usually a slow process. It takes time. So we see kids brought in because they're like, oh, this content is interesting, or it's funny, or I like the way that this guy talks. And really slowly over time, they start to take on those views. They get shown by the recommendations, other content providers that they can watch, and it happens slowly over time. Nobody wakes up one day and says, oh, today I have really radical, say, gender-based views about misogyny. It takes time to learn those things.
So what should parents be listening for and watching for then, Luke?
Has your kid's attitude really changed about something? Are they speaking really differently? Say if it's a boy or a young male identified child, are they speaking really differently about women? Are they speaking to their mother or about their teachers or their classmates differently? Really changes in behavior. Also withdrawal, because a lot of these communities, once we start to get into more extreme ideas, they say, well, don't talk to your parents about this. Don't talk to your teachers. Don't talk to your trusted adults in your life. You need to keep this to yourself and just talk to us about it. That's another way that we see people move into more radical views. And so if your kid who has always been willing to talk to you about what they're doing online suddenly stops, that's something that we really need to pay attention to.
Okay, so isolation is a key point here. I hear a lot about red pill, black pill, blue pill. I mean, what exactly do these mean, and why does it matter?
The idea of being pilled really actually comes out of the movie The Matrix, which a lot of people will be familiar with. In that movie, the main character is given the option, take the blue pill and go back into the simulation you live in, or take the red pill and wake up to the reality of the world. In the real world, what they really mean is take the red pill and wake up to the reality that it was started by misogynist men online, to the world is controlled by women, and you're at a deficit because you're a man. And here's how you make up that deficit, right? You get really strong, you make a lot of money, you go out and control people, whether it's your female partner or other people in your life at work, for example. And so the idea of being pilled is sort of waking up to that reality. I also think it's really important to mention the black pill, which is something we see particularly in the Incel community, so involuntary celibates. And that's a really extreme form of nihilism where they say the only way out of this is through extreme violence.
I know the Manosphere is a big, wide-ranging group, but you would include incels in that group.
There we see people who have come to a place mentally where they feel like there's no way out. They feel like there's no fixing the situation and the world, and that the only answer for them is violence, usually against others, and then sometimes against themselves. So it's a really defeatist, really nihilistic space. Incels originally weren't a violent group. They weren't a misogynist group. It was actually a support group started by a Canadian woman.
Mm.
But over time, we've seen a real development of that group, especially around misogyny, anti-feminism, and a couple of other things that actually fit them really well into broader understandings of the manosphere. So I think it's important that we include them in those discussions. Yeah.
And are there Canadian examples of that, where we've seen the manosphere have a negative, detrimental impact on society?
Yeah, I think the easiest example, contemporary example for people is the 2018 van attack in Toronto. Many people were killed and injured there. And the attacker there, who I'm not going to name, but said in their manifesto and their posts online that they identified as a member of the incel community, and talked a lot of manosphere rhetoric in their writing about that.
Luc, why do you think the message of the manosphere is landing and resonating so well right now?
For a lot of young men, they are looking for a way to be in the world. How do I become a man in this world, in a world that's really rapidly changing? Technology is changing really fast. Financial roles and how we get success financially in the world is changing really rapidly. And so they're looking for information about how to be a man. How do I be successful in this space? And if they don't find that through trusted adults or more traditional means, they go looking online. We know that millennials and younger get the majority of their information from social media and other online content. And so they go looking for answers there. And what they find, unfortunately, is mostly manosphere content.
Luc, how do we counter this type of influence?
We need better educational policy. We need better digital literacy for everybody, not just kids, but teachers and parents, to understand where this content comes from, who is pushing it, why they're pushing it, and the effects that it has on people. It's a really hard question. Well, one of the things I'd like to see is national data gathering about this. We don't have any nationally sanctioned, collected by the government through the census, for example, internet use data for children under 16 in this country. And I think that's a real miss, something that's a real danger for us, because we don't have data. So it's really hard for us to make really good recommendations.